Good morning, everybody. You're all awake? Does it sound really good? Are you all awake?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. A bit better, I will use for that. So this morning we will talk about cybersecurity and what we as Schuiteman accountants are doing on cybersecurity and how we add value for our clients on that topic. But first, who of you was with me in the ruined bar last night? Yeah? Oh, and they're all here. Very good, very good. So, but then we saw the importance of security. It was a long queue waiting for the ruined bar, but we were lucky. We had some fantastic Hungarian friends who talked us in. So we could enter without fear. And another example of the importance of cybersecurity, maybe some of you used their phone to click on a link that opened when I gave you my business card. What you didn't realize is that when you opened the link, that I implemented a bit of software on your phone, and that I hacked your phone. So what I now will show you are the pictures of Mark's phone. No, I'm kidding.
Come on.
So, okay, let's be serious now. So we are going to present what we do with cybersecurity and how we help our clients and add value to our clients with cybersecurity. But I can't do that on my own because when a client discusses with me cybersecurity and they go into detail, I always tell them, sorry, I'm just a simple accountant, but I've got an expert, and then I call in Han. Han, maybe you can introduce yourself. He's the founder of Schuiteman Cybersecurity, and we are cooperating with them on that topic.
Thank you very much, Gert. So my name is Veldwijk. First, thank you so much for having me as your guest. It's been my delight to get to know many of you, and I hope to help Gert a bit in the story around the cybersecurity.
Okay, so what are we going to do this half hour? We'll give you a short introduction on the cyber audit opportunity and how we can put our clients' need first. Then we'll discuss, or Han will show you what our client's problem is on cybersecurity. I will discuss with you some trends that we see in accountancy, especially on information technology. And then we go deeper into the case study and an example of how we work with Scopos on this topic. And I will finish with the best of both worlds and how we as INA can lead the charge on cybersecurity. So, the cyber audit opportunity. Our clients have to deal with IT risks and cybersecurity, and they have questions regarding that topic. So it's a real opportunity for us to add value to them with cybersecurity audit or assurance. The first reason why we can do it is that we have requirements to address this topic, at least in our audits. If you, for example, I don't know how it is in other countries, but if you look at the Dutch law, we as auditors have to report our findings to the supervisory board, and in that report we have to address items regarding the reliability and continuity of the IT systems. I don't know whether it is also in your countries the same. And also in the ISAs, especially ISA 315 and the new ISA 315, there are a lot of requirements regarding getting an understanding of the IT environment of your client, including general IT controls and cybersecurity risks, and also in ISA 220, 240 and 500. So we have the requirement to investigate cybersecurity risks. Secondly, we have got the opportunity. We've got the relationship with the clients, and we have got the trust and the regulatory So it's a no-brainer that we are the ones to help our clients on this subject. But the challenge is, do we have the talent, the knowledge and the tools to deliver to our clients? Because when I'm honest, when I do an audit of the financial statements and I look at the IT environment, I only check password policy, authorities, management, change management, and backup and recovery, and that's it. But do we enough then? I don't think so, because I think our clients ask more for us. Well, maybe you can show us.
Yes, so your client's problem. Gert asked me to ask a bit about what do your clients see as their big worries at the moment, right? And your clients are SMEs, non-profits. But first, show of hands. Who knows somebody who's personally been hacked in the last 5 years? Who knows somebody? Okay. Who knows somebody in the last year? Okay. Did I see it? Wavering hands. Wavering hands. Okay. So we've been in cybersecurity, being a co-founder since '95. That's when we were like this. And I can tell you one thing over that period of time is the worries that SMEs face are still the same today. And actually two things. One is, can we still do our work if there is a cyber attack? And in Frankfurt, we had a great talk on ransomware, and it's still one of the biggest threats facing SMEs and nonprofits. So can we still do our work? Which is all about continuity management, right? The average firm is down for 2 to 3 weeks after a ransomware attack. The second thing we hear all the time is, what will my customers, my clients, my stakeholders think when we are the victim of an attack, right? So the second thing is reputation. Now, all these businesses have one very simple question. But the problem is they have no one they can talk about with this question. And I believe they want to talk this topic, this question with you. And the question is actually, are we secure? That's a very simple question. And I want to talk with you about this because they trust you. They already trust you with their data, with the audits and the financial statements, the annual reports. And so they need somebody where they can talk about their cybersecurity. And if you look at the market, they're struggling. So many tools, so many providers, so many solutions. But the problem is, they don't know how to integrate it. They don't know how to actually get to normal reporting about the question, are we secure, yes or no? And in our work with Schuiteman, we have discovered that the way with Schuiteman and Sparks, when they engage clients, they directly talk about security and they directly move on to solutions. That works really well. And I believe, seeing the work that Fred's been doing, that this is something you can all leverage. You can all put your clients first when it comes to cybersecurity and give them the comfort they need.
So look at some trends in accountancy. We live in a very dynamic environment. We can escape into the metaverse, we learned yesterday, but we still live in a very dynamic environment. It's difficult to find employees. IT developments are coming and going and are getting there quicker. The burden for regulations are getting higher and higher, etc., etc. So it's a difficult environment. And our clients ask more for us. They don't only want our signature on the compilation report or our signature on the audit report. They ask us several questions regarding the administrative organization, regarding sustainability, we also learned yesterday, but also related to IT aspects, and especially cybersecurity, because they have the questions, are we secure? So, the question is, how can we as accountants add value to our clients? Secondly, what we see is that our basic work is getting automated more and more. So a part of our revenue is decreasing because it's getting more efficiently. And so we as accountants are looking for new sources of revenue. And we are looking for new business models. The way we invoiced our clients in the old days was hours and rates, and that was the invoice. But in the new era, the trick is not to invoice on hours and rates, but on added value, or on annual recurring revenues, software as a service. So that's the future, and how can we as accountants be part of that? Furthermore, the audit process is being digitized more and more. First, we see it in our audit practice, how we do the audit. We use some tools in which we digitize our audit. One example is a data snipper. It's a very handy tool which gives us 8, 9, 10% more efficiency in our audits. But we have other tools that we use. We have a data analytics dashboard. And since a few months we use Schuiteman for cybersecurity risk. So here you see a German study of impacts of digitization on auditing. And also the IT environment of clients are becoming more and more important. So can we still audit the client without hiring an IT auditor? Can we still audit the client without evaluating cybersecurity risks? So the question is, what is the future of audit? So if you Google with that sentence, what is the future of audit? I found this research, the study of Deloitte and the University of Singapore on the future of audit. And there were a few topics I want to stress with you. First, the stakeholders' expectations. And hopefully you can read it, but number one, before COVID and after COVID, number one is risk assessment and management. So that's the biggest topic, the biggest worry for stakeholders. And one important factor in risk assessment and management is the IT environment, including cybersecurity risks. Another paragraph in the study was about the adoption of technology in the accountancy sector. Who's using data analytics in the accounting or audit? Yeah, a lot of you already. Very good. Do you use dashboards for your clients? Yeah, yours. Here you see an interesting figure. Okay, some of you use data analytics. Nowadays, 64% of accountants do. Who went into the cloud with their IT? Yeah? Okay, good number here. It's only 36% worldwide. And who of you is using artificial intelligence or robot process automating in their practice? Okay, still see a few hands. Okay. So what we'll show you later is that this new product that we developed with Scopus is a combination of all four. So I think it's a very new product. Then also on the regulation side we see some trends. First of all, new ISA, especially ISA 315. In ISA 315 we see new requirements, stricter requirements regarding getting an understanding of the IT environment of your clients. And that includes also cybersecurity risks. And so we have to investigate the general IT controls, but deeper than we did before. And here you see an article, how to deal with cybersecurity risks in the financial statement audit. To be honest, I think 2 years ago, I didn't do that much regarding cybersecurity risks. Only ask my question, what do you do to the client? Last but not least, new European regulation. I don't know what is the case in the US. Good morning. NIS 2, Who has heard of NIS2? Okay, I will explain a bit. The European Parliament recently adopted a new draft law regarding cybersecurity, and the summary is that if a company is not in control regarding cybersecurity, they risk penalties. So the expectation is that this law will be effective probably 2024, 2025. So we have to assist our clients on this subject. Okay, time to go to the real work, is the case study. So the case study, how we deal with cybersecurity and add value to our clients on that subject. How did it start? In our strategy as Schuiteman, we said, okay, we want to develop more services, more projects, also regarding sustainability, and also some IT services. And since year or 10, I think, I still have this dream of continuous auditing. Wouldn't it be nice that the 2nd of January, I just push the button and then I finish all the audits of all my clients? I don't think we're already there, but I think this new service is a step into that direction. And in that dream, I see this. Maybe you know what this is. Last night I was thinking I could have used the picture of last night, the cues in front of the room bar, but already picked this one, so it was already 1:30, so I didn't want to change it anymore. But this is the Apple Store in New York. And in the old days, when Apple was still innovative, when they released a new iPhone, there were long queues waiting in front of the Apple Store to get a grip on that new iPhone. And in my dream, I see myself stepping into my car, driving to my office, and I turn the corner, and I suddenly see a long queue in front of my office. And all customers waiting to get into our office to help them with cybersecurity issues and to get a grab of our assurance report on cybersecurity. So, but then I was awake, and I was in a hotel in Budapest. But okay, that's a leap into the olive fishing bowl. Probably you all know this concept of the blue ocean. So don't swim in the fishing bowl with all the other accountants, but jump into a new bowl. And you can do that by being innovative and developing services and products. So yeah, you see the concept of blue ocean, but I think you all know it. Okay, so this started with our desire to make the leap into the other fishing bowl. We started to work with Scopus, first of all for our internal cybersecurity. So what they do is they monitor 24/7 our cybersecurity risks. And then we start collaborating because some of my clients, we were reporting in our accountant's report, auditors report on cybersecurity, and my clients asked me, yeah, but how can you help me with that? So then I said, okay, you have to call Han. And then they called Han and they started working with Han. So they worked out really fine. But then we thought, okay, how can we bring this a step further? So first, we started to use Scopus when we investigate the IT environment of a client during an audit. We automate part of that process by using the data from the Scopus dashboard. Furthermore, we broaden our investigation of the IT environment because now we see topics, data topics that we never saw before. So our added value and also the quality of the audit is better. Secondly, we use the findings in the data dashboard of Scopus to include in our mention letters and auditor reports. So yeah, that also the quality of those reports got better. So blue ocean, and then the client needs that they start asking us. And then when we did that, some clients came to us and said, okay, but we have this report of Scopus, but we want to send it to our supervisory board, or we want to send it to our insurance company to get insurance on cybersecurity. But can you help us to add some value to that Scopus report to validate the data? And so we started to develop an ISA 4400 report and an ISA 3000 report on the Scopus data. So what we saw is that before that age, it was very difficult when the client asked us, can you help us on that topic? We say, yeah, I'm just a simple accountant. I can't help you with that, but maybe I know someone. And then I introduce her or another company. But now we see we can really add value to our clients and help our clients on this topic. And Helm will explain you how we do that.
Yes, so realizing the continuous cyber audit. Our vision is actually first to gather as many factual findings around cyber risks that affect the company. And I would like to show you shortly what type of risks we're looking at that Gert can actually use in his reporting. So for us, the organization's entity is defined by people, by processes, and by technology. These are the three things we continuously look for. And people, of course, are employees. Process is about like how well are you capable of change, but also your resilience in case of something disaster strikes, right? And the last one is technology. So let's have a look. When it comes to people, usually when Gert calls me with one of the businesses are interested, we start with a phishing test. And who of you has ever done a phishing test? Good. Well, do one next week, please. Whatever you do one next week. Why? With a good phishing test, we get up to 50% of the employees share confidential data, like client data, passwords, logons. Up to 50%. If it's lower than 20%, we are disappointed internally, right? So this is something to keep in mind. Because if you do a test, there's no downside risk. But if somebody else does it, people from maybe Russia, China, other countries across the globe, the criminals, right? They'll just walk away with the data. That's how we usually start. And people have this whoa moment, right? Like, this is really a big problem. And then you even address the question of, are we secure even more? The second thing we look for is breaches. We look at the dark web. And so, second question, who of you brought a laptop? Good. Who brought a smartphone? Expect all hands to see now. Good. Who is using the hotel Wi-Fi? Good. Okay. Who is using a VPN on his device? Good. You would make very good cyber insurance customers. For those who don't, just buy a VPN and you're safe on any unprotected network, right? It's like a mask but then for your laptop. Look at breaches. Look what kind of data has been lost on the dark web and been exposed to criminals, right? Think again, passwords, logons, accounts. And you usually show this data to the board. And at first they were making jokes like, I knew John was on the dark web. But then they realized this data can be used to access our payment systems, our accounting software, right? And people realize security is not about policies, it's actually about like how do we keep stuff safe. Alright. And lastly we check continuously is cyber awareness, right? If a new employee comes in, we take the questionnaire and say like, hey, how are you doing? Password management, account management, safe browsing, all these topics. Process. This is more for like the board members, and we can also look at the data, and we can see how well is the company able to implement change. Think of very simple things. If you look at any national cybersecurity institute in any country, the top 3 tip is always make sure your software is up to date. Right? And we like to measure like how well is the change management process to keep this actually up to date. And if you're like me, you don't like it. You're busy at work, the last thing you want is a Windows update, it's going to ruin your day. But this is about the balance, right? Keeping things safe and keeping things running. And the last thing is resilience here. So with select board members, also in the case study, we ask questions about cybersecurity. So maybe one thing to take away, if you're back at your team, just ask them like, what was the last time you actually put back the backup? Right? That's the only question you ask next week to your team. Your future self will thank you, right? Because it's going to save lots of trouble. When was the last time you put back a backup? And why is it important? Because in a ransomware attack, all your data is gone, right? And if at least there's a backup, that's something you don't have to worry about. Last thing, technology. And many companies that get lost in like the technology side, and we try to make it easy. So every month, the board members get a message, an update. How are you doing with website security? Sometimes the website is outsourced, sometimes it's a brochure, sometimes it's an important e-commerce site. But the thing you want to know is, could hackers attack our visitors, or could they access our systems? And you want to monitor this continuously. And at workplaces, we talked about this. Is the laptop up to date? Is antivirus up to date? Is your VPN running and active? Is not somebody having rights on a laptop that they shouldn't have in the first place? And lastly, the network. Like how secure is the network? But I won't bore you with those details. Now, I'm going to show you shortly how we take all this data and try to make it easy to understand for your audience. This is very techy talk. We've lost the customer, and he will not actually take any action, right? So the key thing in cybersecurity that we learned is you need to be able to articulate very clearly what the problem is and what action the client should take. So, some of you like Power BI. Power BI is here. So first look at the key metrics, right? So for example, how many employees are in the system? The first check. Hey, you employ 50 people, we got 40 people monitored. What's happening with the other 10, right? There's something to look into. Second is devices. How many devices are you actually monitoring? And it's a good check to see like what's actually in the organization. Then the last thing is websites. Like how many websites are you operating? And I think 9 out of 10 are surprised to see websites that they didn't know they were owning. We call it shadow IT, and it's a great way to enter your company. And then 2 key metrics. So team awareness. So what's the average team awareness? And as you can see, if you round this off, it's actually insufficient, right? It's a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. So this indicates this company has to do something about cyber awareness training. Also interesting, they never took a phishing test. And in this case study, this organization was actually attacked twice, and they had data breach. But the operational people decided, let's not do a phishing test now because we're too busy. While the board actually wants to do the phishing test. And so with this method, Gert as an advisor can actually highlight this fact, right? And there's no right or wrong, right? Because the employees can have a very good reason not to do a phishing test, but then the board can have a very good decision to do it. And our purpose is to bring this information, make it transparent. The other thing is asset mutations. I'll bore you with the details, but don't worry with the details, but here you basically see like what was added in the past year, what was removed. This is a good indication like, are people keeping systems up to date? Is somebody monitoring stuff here? And then also user mutation. So you can actually link this with like, for example, the personnel administration. Like how well are we tracking these kind of things? And then here's some more details on cyber awareness. It's interesting, only 9 out of 40 to cyber questionnaire. Again, this is interesting from a management perspective to make sure that you drive change on cybersecurity from the top. Because if management is not driving change, very few things will happen. And you can see here, 7 actually scored low. And then here data breaches. So for this firm, you can see 30 out of 14 had been breached. And this tells you something about the propensity to become a phishing victim. Right? The more data is out there on the dark web or on the internet, the more likely those employees are being targeted. Because hackers, they copy this data, they don't break the models, they copy this data, and they target those people. And then you can see sort of a trend line, right? Like how our breach is developing over time. Now I can talk about this for hours, I won't do it, but these are the key highlights around the dashboard.
Yeah, And I see we are running out of time, so we'll finish up. But this is an example of the report that we sent to that client to add some validation to the Scopus report. So it's an ISO 4400 report in this case. And the good thing, and we also say what we are doing and what our findings are, and of course my signature under that report. And the nice thing is that we are able to use Power Automate. I don't know whether you know that tool, but Power Automate to make this report automatically if the clients ask for it. And we also use Data Snipper, that software tool, to for 90% automate the validation process that we do for this report. So the hours involved are very low. It's done almost automatically, and of course we can send an invoice to our client for helping out with this report. So, best of both worlds, cybersecurity experts, auditors like us. We believe that this partnership is the first one in the industry, at least in the SME sector. But competition is moving too. IT companies, cloud experts, the big four also have data security and cybersecurity specialists. So we must not wait too long. So my question is to you. Join us in this trip and start a pilot within your firm. Scopus is willing to do a 30-day free pilot for you, but also for your clients. So step in and join us and let us, as lead the charge on cybersecurity. So here you see a QR code, which you can use to see more about this topic. And then you see the quote of one of the clients. And he says, we are far more aware of cyber risks. And here you see an example of the data dashboard that the clients see when they use Scopus. So it would be nice if it would be a joint partnership with Ina. Looking forward to that. So thank you all for your attention, and I don't know whether we have any room for questions.
Yeah, I think we should let some time for questions if you have. I think it's important if you do have questions to Gert or Han, we get time. Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah, how does it work?
Hold on.
I'm interested, so I thought my voice is loud enough.
Most of the time, yes.
Yeah, I'm interested. How does it work? I just downloaded the QR code. I enter my name, and what happens then?
Then you are hacked.
Then you are hacked.
Now you join the multiverse. All we'll do is after the presentation, we'll send you the documents and some more information, and if you're okay, we give you a call in a week or two to see what you think about this stuff.
And how do you get the data from the client? Because this is the most serious obstacle I face when I do data analysis. As long as it is in the data world, it's a German software, it's fine. But unfortunately, we have Navision or Windows XL, and other softwares, and then the problem starts because I don't see a contra account, I see only the account, not the contra account and stuff like this. So it's difficult to do clever analysis in this data world. So what's your solution?
So how it works is a very good question. It's an excellent question. Because how do you actually get access to the data, and how can you do the data analysis? So in the case of Schuiteman, the client was using Scopus for I think a year, and they gave formal consent. That's the first step in the process, right? They gave formal consent for us to take the data and transport it to Schuiteman in a safe environment. But that was the first step. Now, when they had this data, Gert's team was able to actually use our analysis, but knowing accountants, you like to use Excel as well, right, and other tools, so we also provide the full data set. This sort of data, it's what we call it's based on ISO 2701 standards, right? I can tell you more about this later. And it's actually a total data set that you could use outside financial reporting. So this is basically another type of service, you might call it, sorry.
Yeah, I think Carsten also means the boarding process to start with Scopus.
Yeah.
How they get into the dashboard.
Okay, so usually within 2 hours, we have data coming in. And how does that work? The client says, okay, I appoint an IT manager, right, to actually start the implementation. And what they do, they tell us the round of the domain names, websites they would like to track, that's one thing, and they tell us the users they want to test for phishing and for cyber awareness. That's the first step. And then we get data, and we store this data in what's called the Microsoft Azure platform, of course invest in Europe, right? Because that's in line with the GDPR compliance, for example. And then the second thing is, we've developed sort of what's called an endpoint agent, difficult word, it's just an app that the IT team can deploy on devices that they want to, right, via a central point. And so what it means is that every laptop is running a little bit of software. Now this piece of software, the only thing it's doing is looking what software is installed at any 2 hours, and what are what's called device policies. And device policies are, for example, that you need to enter a code when you open your laptop. Or, for example, is the firewall active? So these are the only things we track. We put this in the platform, and then we can do the data crunching on the Scopus side. So, for example, many of you use Windows. And if you use Windows, but you haven't updated for 6 months, right now, you have some very serious vulnerabilities on your Windows machine that I don't want to bother you with, but they are real. And if you don't use a VPN, anyone in this building could probe those ports on your system, and they could gain access to the device. So this kind of data we take out, and then once a month, the user, the board member, or the CFO, they get a monthly report, and they plan to check X cycle. So plan, which systems are you monitoring? Do, every day you did a test. Check, we found these critical Windows vulnerabilities, and the action, please make sure IT fixes this within 2 weeks. So the data is all basically stored in a separate Azure store, outside any AFAS or NatDev platforms, and then your accountants can work with the original data itself once the client has, of course, given formal consent for the analysis of the data by your firm. I hope that answered the question, because I touched many subjects.
Yes, nice. Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Time for one more question?
I've got one.
Yeah.
So, Gert, how do you market this to your clients? What was the challenges you may have faced? I mean, it's probably more complex than just sending an email. So I'm just curious.
Yeah, we found out that it's not a challenge because clients are wondering, am I secure? So when we do an audit or a compilation assignment and we report in the management letter or accountants report on cybersecurity issues, then they start the conversation and, okay, what can I do? And then for me it's very easy to say, okay, but I've got a solution for you. So what was our evaluation up to now? A score of almost 100%?
Almost 100%, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What does it cost?
I can tell you.
It's very
You're Dutch, not?
it's software as a service, as you know, and we charge €5 per user per month for like all the basic stuff that you've seen, right? And if you want some more, there's like a higher plan. And the second thing, what Gert's doing, he's also reselling it to his clients as well, the reporting he's shown. And of course, Gert can decide what's the best price for his customers. Funny fact, before we started this, I think he already sold it 103 times. And I need to say 100 of those were like a big coalition of firms in the legal space, and they were really struggling with the topic. So what we've seen is there's a lot of interest, because no one is actually having an answer to this question, are we secure?
Does that answer your question, Judith? Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much.